Alright, so today I want to talk about 2D games. Even though 3D games get a lot of attention, 2D games are still everywhere, especially in indie development. They're versatile, they're expressive, and honestly, they're one of the best ways to learn how games actually work at a fundamental level. When people talk about 2D games, they usually mean a few different styles. Today, I want to focus on three main types of 2D games that you'll see over and over again: platformers, Metroidvanias, and top-down games. Alright, so let's start with platformers. Because this is usually where most people begin, platformers are pretty straightforward at their core. You move left and right, you jump, you avoid hazards, and you make your way from point A to point B. Because of that simplicity, they tend to work really well with linear stories and clearly designed levels. Some great examples of platformers are Celeste, Mario, Rayman, and of course my own game, Benjamin's Escapades. That's, the best one of them all, obviously. Platformers are great because they're easy to understand, but hard to master. You can focus on tight controls, good level design, and fun movement without having to build massive systems. That's why they're often recommended for people starting out in game development. Alright, next up are Metroidvanias. Metroidvanias are still 2D games, but they take that linear platforming idea and expand it into a connected world. Instead of just moving forward, you're exploring, backtracking, and unlocking new areas as you gain new abilities. Some classic examples of Metroidvanias are Hollow Knight, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, and Castlevania, of course, because that's what it's named after, and another video game. These games are usually more world-building focused. The story isn't always handed to you directly, it is often told through the environment, the enemies, and the places you explore. They tend to feel more serious, more atmospheric, and, of course, narrative-driven than your standard platformers. They're still somewhat linear, but the illusion of freedom makes them feel much bigger than they actually are. And that's something I've noticed in those types of games, Metroidvanias, is when I'm talking to one character, or if I'm exploring a certain area and I look in the background and I see like a little bit of scribbling, it really makes you feel like I am in a whole nother world. And that's like, those are just small little details, just adding a little writing here, adding a crack here. You can add so much depth to a world in such a small way, and that's something that 2D video games really do very, very well. 3D games can do it too, but I've just seen it be more clear in 2D games. Finally, number 3, we get to top-down 2D games. Top-down games take the 2D format and make it feel more open and free. Instead of moving left and right, you can move in all directions, which immediately gives the player more choice in how they approach the game. Some examples of this style are, of course, Stardew Valley. Everybody knows that one. A more recent example is Kingdoms of the Dump. I've really enjoyed playing that one. And another is The Binding of Isaac. I haven't played that one yet, but I've heard so much about it, and it's a really good game from what I hear. But these examples, Stardew Valley, Kingdoms of the Dump, The Binding of Isaac, and there's many, many more, they've expanded on the narrative story and made it a player-oriented choice experience where you can, I want to talk to this character, I want to build a relationship with this, I want to explore this. It's so much more exploration than what the previous categories have provided. Inside the top-down video games, you can branch out into more puzzle game focused type of gameplay or roguelike. They all fit really naturally in this genre because of the camera perspective, these games feel less restrictive and give you more room to experiment with the systems and player choice, like I said earlier. I'd highly recommend for anybody making video games, if you're more, if you're more, I don't know what I'm doing and I'm completely new at this, platformer. So that way you don't get burned out so quickly with all the stuff you'll have to do and learn. If you're trying to pump out a video game as quickly as possible, then absolutely platformer. Again, because you just have to tell a linear story, which I think it's important to have some type of story within the world, unless you're just 100% gameplay and mechanic focused, and that's what's driving the player to keep playing. And then with Metroidvanias, you've got to be able to tell a narrative story within the world and the gameplay, and give a player give a reason to the player to keep going forward, even though it's linear. And again, it's an illusion. Like, this isn't a real world; it's a game, and you're building it. Like, you're building a world from scratch, and that's not entirely easy, from what I've been told, and from my experience. And then the top-down games, again, you're getting into much more expansive world, allowing exploration, building all different kinds of mechanics into a world, and you can have a simplistic art style, but you've got to be able to hold the player's attention enough for them to want to explore and use that freedom of choice. But again, it's not easy. It's something that takes practice, and I would highly recommend that your first game not be the latter two, the Metroidvania or top-down, just because it requires so much effort all at once, and it's a lot to learn. So if you want simplicity, do a platformer. If you feel like, okay, I'm really getting this, I kind of already know what I'm doing, and I've been able to pick up on programming fairly easily, then go for Metroidvania. Like, tell a story, go for atmosphere, character development, and combat systems. Metroidvanias focus a lot on combat, but yeah, they just, each one, 2, and 3 is almost like level of difficulty for game development, and you can do a lot with a platformer, I will say. 2D games, again, they may not be as popular as 3D, but there's so much versatility that sometimes is just not explored. And I was just talking to my wife earlier today about that, where you're looking at a video game and you're like, oh, this is great, I love the art style, I love the gameplay. It's just missing something, and it's something that's keeping me from continuously playing this game. And that's where, again, you go back to my previous video, figure out what's going to be your hook. Like, figure out what's going to draw the attention of the player and keep them entertained and focused on my game, But kind of to wrap it all up, I'll get it more lined up. What makes 2D games so powerful is their versatility. Platformers are simple and focused, making them perfect for learning and for telling clean, linear stories. Metroidvanias add depth through exploration and world building, and top-down games open things up even more, giving players freedom in how they move, explore, and play. Now, I'll say, no matter which style you choose, 2D games are still one of the strongest foundations you can build on. Whether you're a player or a creator or both, and I'm both. They're not going anywhere. Like, 2D games are going to be around for forever. And it's just, you have so many artists that are making video games, and I think that's the majority of people who make video games have an artist's mentality and personality. Just creative. Like, you do not have to be an artistic person to make a good game. You don't. You don't even have to have amazing, it's high definition art, like it's super realistic. You don't have to have that. Like, my first video game is going to be a cartoon pin running around poking balls of paper, and then, trying to escape before he gets thrown away. Like, my simple hook in my video game is, oh, you're trying to escape before you're thrown away or disposed of. And everything is trying to keep you from escaping. So it kind of builds that tension. So find your hook again. Then look at 2D games and see, okay, what am I really trying to do? Do I have a really good story? Okay, Metroidvania. Maybe a simple Metroidvania, but a Metroidvania. Oh, I have a good platforming idea and mechanic. All right, do a platformer, you know? And like, oh, I'm not really good at stories. All right, okay, platformer. But if you feel like, okay, I want to be ambitious and dive in head first, top down, you know? Because you can do anything. Like, it will take a lot more work with some of them, but you can do whatever you want. And that's the beauty of creativity, is I'm not bound by my lack of knowledge. I mean, we have YouTube, we have all these different resources that I mentioned, like I said in my previous video. So don't give up hope, and figure out out of these options which one fits your idea for a video game that you want to accomplish. There's some subgenres, and again, there's so much. I used this before. Versatility. Don't be rigid. Like, don't be, oh, so I can only really make a back and forth video game. Oh, that's really boring. It's like, no. You can do so much. Like, you can make a jump mechanic video game that's just so fun to play. It's freedom. Like, you have freedom. And use that freedom to create something fun, entertaining, impactful, that can just hold people's attention and make them want more. You want your audience to want more, not less. So, alright, well, thank you so much for watching, whoever's watching. I appreciate your time. If you'd like to see more, click that subscribe button and the bell. I think they still have the bell. And you'll get notified of my latest videos. But again, thank you for your attention. I hope this was helpful and encouraging. That's really why I'm doing this, is to hopefully share, while my very limited experience. Actually, you know what? I'm a veteran. I've been doing this for 50 years.
And the first and last words out of your filthy sewers will be, sir. Do you maggots understand that?
Sir, yes, sir.
Clearly. But no, my limited experience, I have learned a lot, and I have seen people's opinions that I feel like it can be talked about a little bit better. And I'm not saying I'm perfect or that I'll do it the best, but hopefully we'll do it well enough to where it will shed some light on some stuff. But just a quick recap: platformers, Metroidvanias, and top-down games. Great games with versatility, and we can dive into each category, and I could spend a whole video talking about each and exploring examples, but maybe that's a video for the future. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a blessed day. Be safe, and again, God bless. Bye-bye.